UTNEC will also be marching to the Magistrates Court, where they will also go and lobby that no bail is awarded to the accused of the murder victim, the late Miss Pepeta. So all of these things are happening on a day-to-day basis, and the voice of the legislature cannot be quiet. So we thank all of those who take the extra.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to you and the House. Honorable Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 that the House 1 notes that this plenary session takes place as the country enters Heritage Month, which is purposefully set aside to highlight the various cultures and traditions of the people of South Africa. Acknowledges that this diversity is the very fiber that weaves together into a delicate artistry and authenticity that is the South African nation. Remembers the Rainbow Nation version as espoused by our late father of the nation, the Honorable Nelson Mandela, who sought to realize the Freedom Charter ideals, which advance that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, where all people shall have equal rights to use their own languages and to develop their own folk culture and customs. Bemoans the purposeful unraveling of the sound principles of this vision through ever-increasing racial tension, intolerance, and tribalism. As such tendencies threaten the national unity and progress that all progressive forces seek to achieve. Note that COVID-19 has shown that regardless of our color of skin, class, position, or ethnicity, for sake of salvaging humanity, we need to learn and support each other. There is a wisdom in being each other's brother and sister's keeper. Accepts that heritage plays an important role in promoting cultural diversity, social cohesion, reconciliation, peace, and economic development. And bear in mind the importance of South Africans to reclaim, restore, and preserve the various aspects of living their heritage to address challenges communities are facing today. Encourages that culture and heritage be promoted in all spheres of society, with particular reference to school curricula as a means of instilling national pride and embracing diversity of race, culture, and creed, an approach which should include cultural tradition, oral history, performance or performing arts, popular memory, skills, as well as an indigenous knowledge system. Advocate for the acceptance and preservation of the melting pot of different cultures, which form the glowing tapestry of our heritage that truly reflects and represents the friendly province of the Eastern Cape. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. I put the motion without notice. Great.
Agreed.
Agreed. Can I just hear a very resounding agreed, not 5 agreeds?
Agreed.
Thank you, members. Thank you. And that is also sounding far more positive. Honorable members, we now have a notice of motion from Honorable Zibonde. Over to you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I hereby move in terms of Rule 131 of the Standing Rules that this House, noting that a recent report of the Institute of Race Relations revealed that only 33% of children in the country live in households where both parents are present. Many single parents across the country, majority being women, face daily battles to put a plate of food on the table, while incurring great costs to seek and collect child support from a former partner, who often defaults on child support. The courts often take too long to settle child maintenance cases. Single parents often give up as they cannot afford costs of transportation and the days they have to lose at work to attend court. Legislation needs to be strengthened to ensure the payment of child support. The beneficiaries of child maintenance have suffered a double blow during the COVID-19 pandemic, with the Department of Justice failing to effect payments for several months. Therefore resolves that the Department of Social Development and the Department of Justice and Correctional Services collaborate to ensure that parents do not default on child support. That the provincial government continues to intensify the efforts to ensure that child maintenance is prioritized, as non-payment would be to the detriment of the most vulnerable children within the province and the country as a whole. I so move, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Zibonde. We note the motion and it will be debated at a later stage in accordance with Rule 133.1. Honourable members, I've been informed by the Whippery that there will be no member statements today. But I think, members, I just forgot to mention that once again, as we are gathering here, we must take note of the fact that there are still many of our people that is affected and infected with the COVID-19 coronavirus. We send our heartfelt best wishes to them for a speedy recovery, those who are still in hospital and in ICU. Also, our own staff members that are in quarantine still, we wish them a speedy recovery. To those that have lost loved ones during the last house sittings, our condolences are with you as well as our prayers. But I think we also take heart from the fact that our province is now on record as more than 90% in terms of the recoveries. That could only have been done with a concerted effort from all the frontline staff working together, especially our health professionals. And really, we need to give a shout out to all of those who diligently have gone beyond the call of duty on a daily basis to make sure that our people are treated in a humane manner, that they put the service and a quality service for our people first. Thank you to all of them. And also to those that have, on the frontline staff members that have become infected and have lost colleagues, our prayers and our thoughts are with you during this time. Now we will be going over to the questions, honorable members, on the question paper. However, before we start, I wish to advise members that today we will take an hour and a half. That means we will take 90 minutes for the oral questions in line with Rule 186.3. This is due to the fact that we have 50 questions on the order paper today. And if you look at certain of the questions, some of them have got 3 to even 5 subsections thereof. This is necessary in order to ensure that we provide an opportunity to each member of the Executive Council to respond to questions posed to their departments. The order in which questions will be done, all questions to the Premier will be done first, and thereafter we have assigned questions, at least 3 to each department. So members, please don't be worried when you see your question is not there, but we would like to have all of the departments responding to the questions. All of those who will not be able to, after the expiration of the 90 minutes, will not be able to respond. Their written replies, which have been submitted, will then be sent to the honourable members. I will now ask Maria to please flight the questions for us, please. And I will ask, will you be able to flight it, please? Thank you. And the first question is to the Honourable Premier, who is represented by MEC Mvoko from Honourable Woodendal. May I just ask the members who are going to respond, please do not read again for us the questions. It takes time. If they can just go on and respond to perhaps say question 1, subsection 1 or subsection 2, and it will make it so much easier and the flow of those questions. Over to you, MEC Mvoko, Acting Premier.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and good afternoon to all members of the legislation. Question 1, subsection 1, the National Drought Declaration of the 4th of March 2020 lasted up to 4th of June 2020, extended by 1 month to 4th July 2020, and was not further extended. Only Amatole District Municipality declared a local state of drought disaster at its sitting of the council on the 30th of July 2020. 2, the publication will be done by Amatole District Municipality as it is a local state of disaster. The declaration has not been published in the Government Gazette as yet. 3, Sarah Bartman District Municipality area has been allocated an amount of 4,824,000 rand. 4, 35 million rand has been received by the Department of Rural Development and Agrarian Reform and allocated to all 6 district municipalities in the province. The allocation is an outcome of a national declaration of the 4th of March 2020, hence the allocation to all district municipalities. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Mvoko. Honorable Odendaal, can we proceed to the next question?
Afternoon, Honourable Speaker. Now, I do have a follow-up question for the Honourable Acting Premier. Good afternoon. Why has the Honourable Premier not gazetted a provincial disaster specifically relating to the drought, given the fact that 1.2 million people in Nelson Mandela Bay has a water crisis on their hands, with dam levels standing at only 18% in that municipality, and almost all other municipalities in the Sarah Baartman District Municipality also having severe water problems because of the extended drought? Thank you, Speaker. It's good to see you back in your place.
Thank you, Honorable Odendaal. MEC Mvoko, although the question deals that you've originally asked is the renewal of the drought declarations, and now you're asking why has the province not declared a drought declaration. Honorable Mvoko?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I was going to say that this question is completely different to the question asked by earlier by Honorable Odendaal. But on the declaration of a drought, there is a process, Honorable Speaker, and the process starts with the declaration of the drought at a local government level. From local government level, it is then escalated to provincial government. For provincial government, then to declare and gazette a disaster. So that's how the process flows. So if, for an example, Nelson Mandela municipality has not declared a disaster as a local state, there is not a chance that the provincial government will then declare for Nelson Mandela when it has not. That's how the process flows. But we will, because that is a new question, we'll make a follow-up and we will respond to Honorable Odendaal. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Mvoko. Question 2 from Honorable Botha to the Premier. MEC Mvoko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Question 2.1. The Provincial Treasury was mandated by the Office of the Premier to investigate all COVID-19 related procurement. For this purpose, a database of all procurement is being constructed, as well as a process of sample testing of products procured. The Treasury is also looking at coordinating the efforts of the AGSA and SIU to avoid a duplication of effort. and the Treasury team will attempt to ensure the HSA will be getting priority access to documents and to share as much as possible information with the SIU. 2, the value of the transactions to be reviewed will be all the reported COVID-19 spend to date, with a projected cut-off planned to be the end of September 2020. 3, considering the investigation is still at an early stage, with final reports only to be released after most of these transactions have been concluded, it is not yet possible to determine what is the value of potential losses or the recoverability thereof. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Mvoko. Honorable Botha, are you fine with the response?
Honorable Chair, Speaker, yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Third question from Honorable Stevenson to the Premier. MEC Mvoko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. One, the Department of Public Service and Administration was tasked with the responsibility to develop a national framework on how to conduct lifestyle audits in the public service. The national framework is supposed to give direction to all the provinces on how the process of conducting lifestyle audits should ensue. Now, the national framework has still not been provided, Honorable Speaker, and as such, there is no guide on how provinces are to conduct lifestyle audits. However, as the Eastern Cape government, we took own initiative to approach the Minister of State Security to authorize the State Security Agency to conduct the lifestyle audit. The Minister has authorized the State Security Agency accordingly, and the documents from all the MECs and the Director General are with the agency already. The next cohort will be heads of department, chief financial officer, and other senior officials. 2, I'm sure has been catered for in 1, Honorable Speaker. 3, 2 and 3 have been catered for, but I can say that the State Security Agency has not as yet, which is B of it, provided time frames. And on 4, it's important, though it's part of 3, but it's important to emphasize that for other levels of senior management, lifestyle audit will be conducted once government policy currently being developed through DPSA has been finalized, which is what I spoke about earlier. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Mvoko. Honorable Stevenson, are you fine with the response? If Honorable Stevenson is not in, can we then go to the 4th question from Honorable Van Boegenrode to the Premier?
He is in, Honorable Speaker.
He is not responding. Honorable Stevenson, are you fine with the responses from MEC Mvoko? We will then go over to question 4 from Honorable Van Boegenrode to the Premier. MEC Mvoko.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Provincial Treasury was given the instruction in May 2020 to conduct investigation on all COVID-19 procurement in all departments. Due to the volume of transactions, the investigation has not been completed yet. The Premier is expecting Provincial Treasury's reports within the next few weeks. Upon observing the volume of transactions that Provincial Treasury is dealing with, we also enlisted the support of the Auditor General and the Special Investigative Unit, UISIU, who are working collaboratively with Treasury. Only when the Premier receives the reports with the findings of these investigations will it be established if there is a case that the mentioned MEC will have to answer. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Mvoko. Honorable Van Boegenbode, are you fine with the responses?
He's fine, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. We will now go to question 5 from Honorable Nyalambisa to the Premier. Yes, MEC Mvoko, there are 8.
There are? Are you done, Honorable Speaker? I seem to have lost the speaker. She was saying something, then got cut. Let me respond to question 5. Maybe the speaker will come back after responding to this question. On 1, allegations of corruption do surface from time to time. Members of the public are expected to report such allegations directly to law enforcement agencies who have the authority to investigate such cases. Due to the shortness of time, it was not possible to gather such information from all state institutions. The province has embarked upon the following: established anti-corruption, ethics and security management fora to guide departments on policy development and implementation. 2, providing support to municipalities on anti-corruption policy development and reviews. 3, training municipal officials and councillors on anti-corruption strategies. 4, strengthen the relationship with 4 law enforcement agencies, conducting ongoing awareness sessions in collaboration with SAPS, SIU, DPCI, Traffic Services, SASA, SSA, etc. Established a Back to Ethics School program aimed at reaching learners and encourage ethical behavior. On question 3, one, inadequate capacity both internally and externally to detect acts of corruption before they occur. The reluctance by community members and officials to report corrupt activities. 2, collaboration in acts of corruption by officials with service providers. On B, 1, reduction in the number of officials of government reported to be conflicted with 6 departments implicated, and a total of 47 officials said to be conflicted and benefited from trading with government, compared to all 13 departments and more than 800 officials in the previous financial year. 2, an ethics management infrastructure was created in all 13 departments in order to address unethical behavior and promote integrity in provincial government. 3, reduction in the number of identified fraud risks from 163 high risks identified in all departments to 69 that remain high, which means that departments managed to mitigate 94 of the high risks that have been identified. 4, the provincial SMS disclosure has improved from 97% to 98%, with 12 departments achieving 100% against 7 departments in the previous reporting cycle. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Mvoko. Honorable Nyalambisa, are you fine with the responses? Honorable Nyalambisa. We will then go to question 6, also from Honorable Nyalambisa to the Premier. MEC Mvoko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, once again. Question 6. Lifestyle audits will cover premier, members of the Executive Council, Director General, heads of department, and heads of department. As mentioned earlier, the DPSA is developing a policy framework that will enable government to conduct lifestyle audits at other levels as well. Now, the Eastern Cape provincial government has already started the process with the State Security Agency. It will depend on the State Security Agency process as to when lifestyle audit will be finalized. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC. Honorable Nyalambisa, are you fine with the response? I'm not sure if Honorable Nyalambisa is in the house. The 7th question to the Premier from Honorable Bese. MEC Mvoko. Over to you.
Thanks once again, Honorable Speaker. One, catalytic projects, including economic infrastructure, remain central to the program of economic growth and job creation. Where there are opportunities for projects to be implemented by national state-owned corporations within the province, the provincial government will remain steadfast in supporting and enabling the implementation of these projects. Where there are factors at the national sphere which lead to the delay or deferment of some projects, the province nevertheless continues to engage on those projects where possible. On manganese, the Department of Environmental Affairs approved an environmental authorization for the period on 18th July 2014. And two, after an amendment to the Department of Environmental Affairs on 27th March 2015, the environmental authorization was valid for 5 years up until 27th March 2020. 3, as Transnet had not started with construction of the project at that date, Transnet applied for extension on 14th February 2020 to extend the environmental authorization by another 5 years. This was granted on the 24th of March 2020. This Transnet has up to 27th March 2025 to start the construction of the project. 4, the manganese terminal operator, transport port terminal, was appointed through Section 79. 5, land acquisition from Kuha SZ by Transnet for the project was concluded in November 2019. On Tombo Oil Refinery,
Very progressive step, Honorable Speaker. The response to the question is that all the investigations in relation to public representatives was handed over to SIU after the proclamation was issued in this regard. And the investigation is currently at an initial phase. And at this stage, the number is not known in terms of the number of public representatives that are affected. We can only know post the investigation through the SIU. And the local government anti-corruption forum has been established under the leadership of National Cocta and SIU in regarding such matter. However, at this phase, there is no names shared yet, as Eastern Cape Province is represented in the forum by Cocta, and as such updates will be made available in due course. And then again, this information shall be made available as soon as there is collation of evidence material in this regard by SIU, as it is the priority of the SIU currently. That SIU has prioritized all COVID-19 cases, and therefore once it's done its investigation, that information can be made available at that point. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Ngata. Honourable Knudsen, are you satisfied with the response? Honourable Knudsen?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm satisfied with the response. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. Question number 10 from Honourable Zibonda, also to MEC Ngata. Over to you, MEC.
Okay. The department is coordinating 39 municipalities to get the information, and this work is still underway. Once the information is fully packaged, it will be made available to the honourable member. And that the information, that is section part 2 of this question, the information expected from the municipalities as cited above will cover the total budgeted amounts and expenditure as contained in the question. And that there is an annual contractor on site, question number 3, which is doing the installation of water and sewer lines inside the swimming pool site. And we have also been told by the municipality, excuse me, the tender for the principal contractor to do the works for phase 1 of the upgrade of the pool to make it functional is currently at an evaluation stage. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Ngata. Honourable Sibonda, are you satisfied with the responses?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I've got no follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Then question 11 from Honourable Kasim, also to the MEC Ngata.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Amathola District Municipality is currently attending to the Kubusi raw water pumps, and they are being resolved under reprioritization projects. And the part 2 of the question is that the plant is currently operational and powered using a diesel generator. And Amatlati local municipality allocated 3 million funds to repair the power supply. And that there is no local business people that were businesses that were affected negatively, from what we know. That's all, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Ngata. Honourable Kasim, are you satisfied with the responses?
Honourable Speaker, may I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, Honourable Kasim, as long as it relates to the question that you have asked there and not a new one. Please, Honourable Member.
Of course, Honourable Speaker, I will do so. Honourable MEC, thank you very much for your response. Honourable MEC, I'd like to ask, in terms of the fixing of the power supply, is it possible to give a timeline in this respect? When would the MEC expect this to be fixed so that the wastewater treatment works is 100% operational? And just to ask the MEC if he's aware of two other things, because there was one section that I didn't hear the response, but I'll just ask the MEC if he's aware of two other matters. The first is that the generator that is there, I've seen the generator, Honorable MEC, it only allows for 50% of the sewage to be treated. I just wanted to see whether the MEC is aware of that, and whether or not the MEC is aware that the local business people in the town are willing to come in and assist, and how that can be facilitated, if they would like to assist in this respect.
Over to you, MEC Ngaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Kasim. The other part of your questions are answered in the next question that is going to follow. There is a response there, and I am not aware about the point you're raising, but as it relates to timelines, I can only be able to provide that if I return back to that sphere of government to say they must give me timelines, as that was not part of your initial question. But I'm more than willing to go and find out from them. And from the response they've given us is that the use of the generator using diesel has been able to provide the necessary capacity to ensure that support is provided for the community there. I am not aware of any shortage so far, because the response is that at this point there is no crisis, because there is this backup capacity, and that there is this 3 million allocated so that the problem can be resolved.
Thank you, MEC. Thank you, MEC. We will now go to question 17. Remember, I said that we have tried to allocate at least 3 questions to each of the departments, so that we can have all departments responding. So members, do not fear, all the written responses have been received. Question 17 is from Honorable Makubela to the MEC responsible for education, MEC Blacks. Over to you, MEC.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. The grade 12 learners at quintile 1, 2, 3 are each to be issued a tablet and a SIM card, and enable them to access the learning support material online, and lessons being broadcasted by the Department of Education as at the 17th of August 2020. We have delivered 49,155 tablets, including the SIM cards. Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Blacks. Honorable Makubela, are you satisfied with the response?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm satisfied, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, MEC, for your response. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Question 18, also from Honorable Makubela to MEC for Education, MEC Blacks.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. All schools have received their 3-month supply of PPEs, with the inclusive of all items as required through the procurement processes, without mentioning them as listed here. But the school support teams have also been contracted and placed at schools as interim measures to ensure the adherence to COVID-19 regulations. In addition to that, Honorable Speaker, the schools have also elected to utilize different variations of their school timetables to ensure that the school distancing rule is applied. Out of the 5,121 schools, 1,693 have chosen rotational of grades or alternative days within the week, and 444 have chosen a sacrosanct process of just rotating the grades within the very same week without the alternative ones. And also 2,841 schools have retained the original timetables meaning that they continue with the current form of teaching. And 143 at the time of the questions requested, they did not indicate their preference. But afterwards, we have then sent the officials to persuade them to quickly resolve the matter. But they have chosen to continue with the original timetables that are currently underway, Honorable Speaker. I'm through, Honorable Speaker.
Did you respond to the second part of the water and sanitation, Honorable MEC? The first part deals with the state of readiness, and the second part deals with the provision of water and sanitation. Of the same question, 18.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Out of the 755 that we were given, we have been able to target the provision of water and have been provided the tents which have been installed and filled. The 10 schools at which the Honorable Speaker, the 10 schools at which the installation was not finalized in the Amatole East during the time of the question has been filled ever since the schools have just returned back now. All of the 946, which means 100% the targeted schools for the provisioning of the sanitation, have been provided with temporal toilets, so that we can be able to continue with the work. All schools have been reopened by now, with the exception of one situated in Jogabi district due to the infrastructure challenges. The Maclear Junior Secondary School, but however they have utilized an alternative venue, which means therefore also they have opened up, whilst the construction has been put in place to deal with the infrastructure problems that they have. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Blacks. Honorable Matubela, are you satisfied with the responses?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I'm satisfied.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. The next question is from Honorable Anil Kumar, also to the MEC responsible for education, MEC Blacks.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. To date, the 5,608 comorbidities application have been received, of which out of that number, 2,230 applications have been approved by the Department of Education in collaboration with the Department of Labor and also the Department of Health. The 589 applicants have been turned down. The 2,763 applicants are still pending, Honorable Speaker, precisely because of the complexity of the submissions that the individuals have been made, and their doctors have to make some verification on some of the items that they have lifted, so that the department can certify some of those highlighted issues by the Department of Health and the Labor in the context of the comorbidities. And the department has also ensured that all comorbidities case of teachers have been fast-tracked, and it is therefore with its intention that the current posts are filled by appointing assistant teachers to ensure that seamlessly the teaching and learning process is not distracted. The provincial treasurer has availed 341 million rands to pay for the assistant teachers, which the majority of them has already been appointed in schools. Furthermore, Honorable Speaker, teachers working from home are also required to perform prescribed duties whilst at home, has also to assist the assistant teachers teaching in their own place, so that we don't have distractions in terms of preparing for the examinations. Thanks, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. Honorable Anil Kumar, are you satisfied with the responses?
Honorable Speaker, I'm happy with the response of the MEC.
Thank you. We will now go to question 22 from Honorable Vimbayo to the MEC responsible for finance, MEC Mvoko. My apologies, but you are up again.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On question 22, the rationale is to promote transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct on the part of the provincial government. And B, the publication of the report is intended to ensure good governance in the public service. 2, as of the 19th of August 2020, orders amounting to 877,467,056 rand 0.89 were placed with 562 Eastern Cape based suppliers, and that is 72.99% of the orders were in the Eastern Cape. The list of suppliers and values, I think I've supplied those as an annexure to the honorable member, so I don't read all of them, but I've provided a list of the suppliers and values. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Mvoko. Honorable Vimbayo, are you satisfied with the response? Honorable Vimbayo.
She's fine, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Question number 23, also from Honorable Vimbayo to the MEC of Finance.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My apologies for not switching off.
Just hold on. MEC, Deputy Speaker, can you please mute Honorable Vimbayo? Can you please mute from if you are in the chamber? You may proceed, MEC Mvoko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On question 23, Provincial Treasury monitors and reports on the expenditure related to COVID-19 on a monthly basis to provincial top management, to the Cabinet Budget Committee and the Executive Council. COVID-19 expenditure is included in the Provincial Financial Position Report for June 2020. 2, given the procurement opportunities provided by COVID-19, the provincial government deemed it appropriate for the provincial government to arrange a transversal contract for PPE items that can be they can be sourced from Eastern Cape-based manufacturers in line with the local economic development procurement framework. Provincial Treasury, in conjunction with other provincial departments and public entities, has commenced with the process of arranging the contract. The PPE bid is subdivided or broken down into 3 categories: textile sector, chemicals and plastics, general supplies, which is items that are not manufactured within the province. The process of evaluation is currently underway. By arranging such a contract, the province will derive the benefits of the economies of scale, and the supply chain management practitioners will be relieved from the burden of repetitive buying and focus on others, and they will be able to focus on other strategic activities. This will shorten the procurement lead time quite significantly. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. Honorable Vimbayo, are you satisfied with the responses? You don't have to go up front. You can just respond from where you are, Honorable Vimbayo, if you are satisfied. Honorable Vimbayo?
She is fine, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The question number 24 from Honorable Fishlani, also to the MEC responsible for finance, MEC Mvoko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On 1, The provincial departments procured personal protective equipment in line with the price list issued by National Treasury contained in the National Treasury Note number 5 of 2021. Emergency procurement in response to the national disaster dated 28 April 2020. The instruction note has maximum set prices to be paid by institutions for selected COVID-19 PPE items. 2, provincial treasury is not aware of any deviations by provincial departments. However, all COVID-19 related procurement is currently being audited, and the exercise will reveal whether there are any deviations from the set prices. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Voko. I'm not quite sure what is happening now. It might be from the House. Honorable Fishlani, are you satisfied with the responses?
She is, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. Question number 25 from Honorable Woodendal to the MEC responsible for health. MEC Gomba, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On part 1 of the question, on pine beds. Should I continue, Speaker, in this noise? 200 of the 400 delivered beds paid to date, and the amount for that is 398,590. On manual beds, there's no payment to date. On ICU beds, there's no expenditure to date. However, payment processes are underway for the 258 beds delivered already. On section 2 of the question, on the 258 ICU beds, they have been procured and delivered to facilities. 150 additional ICU beds awarded, however, awaiting confirmation of facilities and infrastructure projects underway by Department of Public Works before purchase orders can be issued. On the 408 manual 4-section beds, they have been purchased and distribution has commenced. On 700 pine beds meant for the field hospitals, 400 of which have been delivered. And the department intends to negotiate cancellation of orders for those beds which have not yet been delivered, since the field hospitals are no longer taking place. On section 3 of the question, on ICU beds, the average price range was 30,216 rand 30, up to 58,422.56, and average price awarded is 46,824.92 cents. On the 4-section beds, the average price is 26,372 rand 63 cents. On pine beds, average price is 1,992 rand 95 cents. On section 4 of the question, on the 258 ICU beds, they were procured using deviation processes based on confirmed available beds in the country. And on the 150 ICU beds awarded, they were based on competitive bid process. On the 408 manual beds, the 4-section beds, they were awarded based on a competitive bid process. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Gomba. Honorable Woodendal, are you satisfied with the responses?
Thank you very much, Speaker. I am.
Thank you. Question 26 from Honorable Cowley, also to MEC responsible for health. MEC Gomba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, on section 1, the response is yes, and a comprehensive standard operating procedure has been drawn up and was communicated to all district managers for implementation. And that is appended as Annexure 1, the SOP itself. On section 2, swabs of the deceased are taken at the scene, which is place of death, by EMS where applicable, or by the nearest health facility to which the funeral parlor will be taking the body for a swab and the confirmation of death. On section 3 of the question, yes, district managers are working together with funeral parlors and mortuaries in the implementation of the SOP, that all sudden deaths that had not been attended to by EMS should be transported to a nearby health facility for swabs and confirmation of death. On section 4, the Department of Health in the Eastern Cape does not have a system that can be used to reliably and accurately adjust the mortality statistics retrospectively, but is currently ensuring that all COVID-19 related deaths are captured with accuracy as they happen through the implementation of the SOP. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Gomba. Honorable Cowley, are you satisfied with the responses? Honorable Cowley.
Hello, thank you, Speaker. Yes, I am satisfied. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We now go to question, what is that?
27.
27 years. So thanks, MEC. also from Honorable Cowley to the MEC. Thanks, MEC Gomba.
Thank you very much. On section 1 of the question, in terms of the administrative interventions, which is all about that, I respond to say theft is defined as physical removal of an object that is capable of being stolen without the consent of the owner, and with the intention of depriving the owner of it permanently. There is usually a motive of intention behind the theft of data held by the department, which has numerous factors attributed to. In terms of Section 27(2) of the Constitution, the state must take reasonable legislative and other measures within its available resources to achieve the progressive realization of the right of the people of South Africa to have access to healthcare services, including reproductive health care. Furthermore, in terms of National Health Act, and with particular reference to Section 13, 14, and 17, the state is obliged to keep the record, ensure confidentiality and protection of record. Whilst the department has acquired security services that monitor entry and exit of public or officials within state people, some of whom have ulterior motives, it is common knowledge that theft practices have been so advanced that while the records held manually by the department are still assessed by those that lack authority, and such practice have been so prevalent that the department realizes that it cannot be business as usual. When documents are digital and stored in an auditable system with paper trail and personal logins credentials, it becomes easy to identify unauthorized access. While those that have authority are able to be audited on which records they have access, about time frame, and it is even easy to electronically mark when the data was accessed and by whom, time, date, and frequency included. The auditable control measures will be used to flag those unauthorized or suspected theft of information. And the department has then managed to request for access to to information manually in the past. It has since revised its approach to management of clinical data and requests. We have acquired scanners, filing systems, and copiers, and the employment of interns in order to focus as a first prize on hotspots facilities strengthening of related administrative support. And filing systems meant to lock away clinical data for safekeeping of said information so that it not become easily accessible to unauthorized users. And the department, on the other hand, is developing a uniform information management repository tool that will record trails, also record per year requests made in respect of data in the custody of the department, and then streamline release process where it is official granted, and also keep a paper trail of requests compiled with and persons affected by that compliance, so that those who will be having information without authorized trail record will easily be identifiable and be subjected to necessary process of criminal investigation or prosecution where cases identified, and no longer manage manual registers that do not assist at the time of need to show which officials have been accessing the said data and under what authority or circumstances, where there is prevalence of record thefts, high proportion of litigation arising from facilities, which gives impression that theft has an element of internal and external syndicates. The intents will strengthen the element of search of records that are not easily traceable and will vigorously be trained to ensure that the department eliminates risks of time frame non-compliance at a facility level. On part 2 of the question, the department does not have record of any employees who were charged specifically for misconduct related to theft of medical files. However, following a forensic investigation by Nexus in 2019, a total of 5 senior employees were precautionarily suspended and later charged on allegations of fraud and corruption. 4 of these employees have since resigned and left the department. 1 still in the employ is still going through the internal disciplinary processes. Section 3 of the question is none. And section 4 of the question, 4 of the 5 employees were charged for fraud. The same I've mentioned above, 4 resigned and 1 still going through disciplinary processes. And section 5 of the question, as indicated in question 3 above, the process is still in pursuit. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Gomba. Honorable Cowley, are you satisfied with the responses?
Yes, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I'm satisfied.
Okay, we will now go to question 33 from Honourable Magaka to MEC responsible for human settlements. Honourable Peters.
She is coming to the podium, Honourable Speaker.
Good afternoon, Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Premier, and all the members of the Assembly of the Provincial Legislature. On question 1, A, the N2 nodal development comprises of 4 sub-projects. There are projects to yield over 12,100 new housing opportunities on greenfields land and formalize the informal settlement of Grogo with approximately 210 units. On B, we have Bay West development, phase 1 and 2. Phase 1 was completed in 2016, and now we're in phase 2 which is a category B planning, we're at the planning phase. And the next project is Utopia Estate Mixed Use Development. It's at inception stage. And the third project is N2 North Integrated Development. It's still awaiting EIA appeals outcome. And the fourth one is ERF 432 Hunters Retreat. And this one is at inception stage. And part C of the question is the project pre-planning and planning is done by Nelson Mandela Metro utilizing USDG funding. This project will include development node with major bulk infrastructure upgrades, bulk water, sewer, road infrastructure, including the new Western Interchange. And part D of the question, the first one is Bay West Development. The property is privately owned. It's not owned by government, but HDA is pursuing the conclusion of the institutional arrangement for the N2 nodal development. And the second one is Ethiopia Estate Mixed Development. Phase 1 of the development has been granted an EIA extensions. So now they are busy with pre-feasibility studies, and they have concluded that now they are busy with installation of phase 1 bulk services to commence. That was supposed to commence in 2019, but not yet, because Nelson Mandela and HDA, they are busy with that because they have to utilize the USDG for that. So they are expected to do that within 24 months. And the third part of the question, construction of phase 1 for residential units will commence within 18 months of the completion of the infrastructure installation. That will be completed within 36 months of the date of commencement. And then the third project, N2 North Integrated Development. The property is owned by Metro, and they have appealed for the declined EIA that has been done, so they are waiting for the response. And there are 32 alternative land parcels that were identified and submitted to HDA for consideration. And they are having discussions with Nelson Mandela, so they are waiting for a decision by the Metro municipality. And the last one is R432 Hunters Retreat. This land is currently partially occupied by an informal settlement libizwa by Grogro. Feasibility studies have been completed and they are currently being taken through council structures for consideration. So we're waiting the report of council, and also that will require assistance in land acquisition and funding and negotiations. And this is highly dependent on access road, which will be a continuation of Bay West Drive. And part E of the question, it's Nelson Mandela, Bay Metro, and the province. And part F, the estimated budget is approximately 44 billion. And part G, the department will be funding the portion of the IRDP that will be determined once planning is completed, and also will be playing an oversight role monitoring the project. And part H of the question, part of the project that is Utopia Estate Mixed Use Development is planned for a period of 5 years. This will also depend on the availability of budget per financial year. Timelines of other phases will be determined by various pre-planning and planning activities such as EIA, feasibility studies, bulk services, acquisition of land, etc. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Petersen. Honorable Magaka, are you satisfied with the responses?
He is satisfied, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Also, question 34 to the MEC for Human Settlements from Honorable Magaka.
Thank you,
MEC.
Honorable. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On this question, yes, the department will decommit during the year under review. However, the process has not yet commenced. So on A, we do not know as of now which projects will be decommitting as we are starting with that process. And B, Honorable Speaker, the municipalities, we are not sure yet which ones. And in C, also the plans that we'll put in place, we'll know when we exactly know which projects will be decommitting in this financial year. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Peterson. Honorable Member.
He is satisfied, Speaker.
Thank you. I just hear there's a bad echo. Honorable Klutsia, question 35 to the MEC responsible for public works, MEC Madikizela. Over to you.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. On question 35, the project implementation, the project is implemented, Honorable Speaker, by Water and Sanitation, and it's coordinated at the office of the Premier. So we therefore advise that all the questions related to the project be directed to the office of the Premier. Thanks.
Honorable Klutsia, there is the response from MEC Madikizela. Can we then go to question 36 from Honorable Konza, also to the MEC responsible for public works?
Okay, thanks, Speaker. For the state properties, we only used 100% private facilities for COVID. Mainly it's because of the condition of the state buildings, of the state properties, and the requirements by WHO that were very high for the properties to be used. So we only used the 100% private facilities so far for isolation purposes, because they were saying it must be like a 5-star hotel with all those requirements of like a hotel type of arrangement that then we did not have, and it could have costed more to refurbish them to that state. So it was a better option to use the privately owned because of the limited resources for refurbishing. Yeah. Thanks.
Honorable Konza, there is the response. Are you satisfied? Honorable Konza?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, I am satisfied, Honorable Speaker, with one.
Thank you, ma'am. Question 37 from Honorable Makashela to the MEC responsible for public works, MEC Madikizela.
Thanks, Speaker. After the lockdown, because the EPWP workers were not essential services, they could not work, but they were paid money, so there was no negative impact on their livelihood. They were paid. That's a direct.
Thank you, MEC Madikizela. Honorable Makashela, are you happy with the responses? There's a very bad echo coming from the chamber.
He is fine, Honorable Speaker. I think we're trying to switch all the mics off.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Then question 39 from Honorable Buerta to the MEC responsible for safety and liaison. MEC Komonya is standing in for, no, that's safety and liaison. That's MEC Tikane. Sorry for that. Yeah, I just. Honorable MEC. Question 39.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Good afternoon, Honorable members. The department will implement the youth brigade at schools where there is an existing safety patroller footprint. The implementation of the program will entail the promotion of social distancing and creation of a safer school environment on a 24-hour basis. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Then, in responding to question 2, the program will target 30 people in the Nelson Mandela metro area. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Tikane. Honorable Buerta, are you satisfied with the response? Did you respond, MEC, to
Thank
the
you,
second
Honorable.
part that deals with the value of the cigarettes and tobacco products?
Okay, my apologies, Honorable Speaker. I responded to those of Honorable Malam Leila. Now, the response to question 39 is that 171 liquor outlets were found to be operating illegally during the lockdown period. In Alfredo, they were 21. In Amatole, they were 40. In Buffalo City, they were 13. In Crisani, 26. In Jogabi, 12. In Nelson Mandela, 7. In OR Tambo, 35. And in Sarah Batman, 17. It's not within the South African Police Service jurisdiction, but the Eastern Cape Liquor Board. Not within the South African Police Service jurisdiction, the liquor outlets that were operating illegally were charged and fines were issued. Liquor was also confiscated and booked into SAP 13 for safekeeping until finalization of the case. SAPS can neither withdraw nor make any other determination other than court proceedings. Honorable Speaker, with regards to question number 39.2, there were 773 cases of confiscation have been registered on the case system. There is no value captured. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. Honorable Buerta, are you satisfied with the response? Honorable Buerta?
Thank you.
Thank you. Then question 40, Honorable MEC. Can you please just go back to question 40 from Honorable Malam Leila?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The department will implement the Youth Brigade program at schools where there is an existent safety patroller footprint. The implementation of the program will entail the promotion of social distancing and creation of a safer school environment on a 24-hour service basis. The program will target 30 young people in the Nelson Mandela Metro. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC. Honorable Malam Leila, are you satisfied with the response?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Yes, I'm satisfied.
Thank you.
very
Question.
much.
Thank you. Question 41, also from Honorable Malam Leila to MEC. Responsible for safety and liaison.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As instructed through the National Joint Priority Committee for Rural Safety, priority committees must be established at all levels. The objectives of the priority committee are to create a communication mechanism between the South African Police Service and all role players within the rural community, including government, organized agriculture, farmers associations, and NGOs. The second one is to jointly determine strategic direction and priorities regarding rural safety, to monitor all serious incidents in the rural community at provincial and station level, to analyze cases and assess, determine trends and modus operandi, to communicate and share such information with role players in order to implement proactive measures. Develop and implement proactive measures and operation to address crime in the rural environment, and also monitoring and evaluating current strategies and operating, and to define solutions to jointly address identified problems in the rural environment. The implementation of these objectives is aimed at reducing the crime levels in the rural environment. The impact of the measures that are implemented is determined by the fact that the community has special responsibility for eliciting the collective commitment of its members to values, norms, and standards of eliminating the stock theft, as well as the crime statistics, whether an increase or decrease is reported. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Malamlela, are you satisfied with the response?
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Question 42 from Honorable Van Vieren to the MEC responsible for social development. MEC Komonye is standing in for MEC Lucidi. Over to you, MEC Komonye.
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker and members.
Oh,
Honorable
you
Speaker,
are in the
I tried
house.
to indicate that I'm back. Yes, I have arrived, Honorable Speaker. Thank you. So I will be
over to you,
taking
yes.
the. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. To respond to the first question of question 42 from Honorable Van Vieren, the National Registration Register reflects 21,084 NPOs in the province from the different sectors. B, the registration of NPO is done through the National Department, which is responsible for the National Registration System of NPOs. C, the department does not have viewing rights in terms of disaggregating the information that is in the national system, and the details requested are not in our competency. Then the second question, in question 42, then we have submitted a table with the number of the NPOs, but the department from the equitable share subsidizes 2,662 NPOs, and the table below is quite comprehensive, Honorable Speaker. If you were to allow me to just say that it will be submitted to the Honorable Member, otherwise I fear it will take too much time, if you allow.
That's fine, Honorable MEC, you may proceed.
Okay. Number three, there is a table as well on question number 3A in terms of these how many NPOs, and the response is 0 across all programs, and then B, it's all, and C, no direct funding from the department allocated for NPOs, since the department pays according to modalities, and PPEs was not part of the allocated funds. Sanitizers, which were distributed to all organizations, were donated through the National Department of Social Development. Then the last question, the department has already mentioned, it only provides funding to the NPOs and does not procure any specific items for them. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Lucidi. Honorable Van Vieren, are you satisfied with the responses? Honorable Van Vieren?
It's quite Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. Question 43 from Honorable Fanta. also to MEC responsible for social development, MEC Luciti.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. SAFA and commercial banks to urgently conclude the agreement regarding the mobile money transfer to all unbanked beneficiaries, support to improve its cash flow processes, support to employ adequate number of tellers, support to ensure queue management is performed at their outlets, support will ensure the social distancing measures are observed by engaging services by the South African Police Service, such as volunteers, law enforcement from various municipalities, the South African Police Office, to ensure dignity services are provided to their outlets, and then only beneficiaries with proof of notification will be allowed to the queue management. And then number 2, there are weekly management reports done by SASA, and the REM of SASA represents these fortnightly, the implementation and progress to the MEC and the Provincial Command Council, chaired by the Premier. Number 3, persons with incomplete applications are notified through the application channels to which they have applied with, to inform them to submit the missing information, and those that are rejected are notified with the various reasons of rejection. SASA has entered into a partnership with the four major banks, and they are in the process of migrating the applicants into the bank infrastructure. The mobile money transfer for all unbanked beneficiaries will ease the pressure from SAPO. But Honourable Member, I think it's important to note that the program is managed by SASA and the South African Police Office, and also managed SASA national, but SAPO is going to be working with the various joint operation centers. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, MEC Luciti. Honourable Fanta, are you satisfied with the responses? Honourable Fanta?
Thank you, Speaker. I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Question 44 from Honourable Zibonda to MEC responsible
Yes, Speaker,
for sport,
I'm satisfied.
recreation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Question 44 from Honourable Zibonda to the MEC responsible for sport, recreation, arts and culture, MEC Komonye. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Honourable. Good afternoon, Honourable Speaker. Good afternoon, Honourable Deputy Speaker here in the House. This is the response to the question. I would not repeat the question for saving time. The department has set aside an amount of 15 million for both sectors, that is sport and the creative industries, as a relief fund. 9 million for creative industries or cultural affairs, and 6 million for the sport sector. The second question is, how much has the department spent thus far? The department is busy with due diligence process to mitigate potential risks. Successful applicants have been requested to submit outstanding documents and confirm important information that would assist with the processing of payment, and thus no payment has been effected yet. Shall I continue, Honourable Speaker, and deal with the part 3 of the question?
Please, Honourable MEC, can you just deal with all of the questions and do not read the question? Just respond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We received 597 applications for arts and culture sector, and the Honourable Member will be furnished with the breakdown of those applications, but shall I say indicate that the highest number we received was from Buffalo City, being 163, and the lowest number we received was in Sarah Padman, 24. With respect to sport, we received 261 applications. The highest number is 167 from Buffalo City, and the lowest number is 2 from Alfred. And so we have not received any applications from Joe Kabi. So the total number of applications received is 858. The adjudication panel has approved a total of 316 applications with a total of 6.6 million for creative industries. And for sport, we have, I will not go into details, Honorable Speaker, just to save time. For sport, the breakdown is as follows. We have received and approved 104 applications from athletes, 10 from clubs, and fitness instructors, 12. I will not deal with the other details. The honorable member will get them in a written format. The next question is with respect to challenges. We have the following are the challenges we have experienced in the process of dealing with the applications. In some of the applications, there was no attachment of the required document as per the criteria, and there's been a lack of mobilization by particularly the federations, hence the low number of applications from the district. Question number 45, with respect to red location, the response
Honorable
is...
member, can you
Yes,
just hold there? Can you just hold there? Honorable Sibonda, are you satisfied with the response from MEC?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. May I ask a follow-up?
Yes, Honorable Sibonda.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My first follow-up would be, when does the MEC envisage that the payments will be impacted, given the fact that it's 5 months already since we've locked down? And the second one, the MEC said, when she mentioned the challenges that they faced, is that the applications were incomplete. How were the applicants assisted by the department, making sure that they know what to submit and when submit them? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sibonda. Over to you, MEC Komonya.
The first follow-up question, Honorable Speaker. The department has not taken 5 months to start and conclude the process. The process started on the 24th of May and was concluded on the 25th of August, and that gives you a period of about 2 months. So we are envisaging that the payments would be done at the end of September, because there's only few documents that it's just the confirmation of the banking details that we are waiting for from the successful applicant. So it has not taken 5 months. And the second part is the second question, follow-up question that was asked is, I can't remember.
It was, can I remind you, how did the department assist those that had challenges with the providing the required documentation?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. We made adverts on the criteria first, and we assigned our officials to assist in the district levels, to assist those applicants to fill the forms and submit them accordingly, and we collected the forms. So that is the assistance we have given to the athletes and the artists. We have also worked with federations as well as CIFSA, which is an association of artists, to relay the information as well as assist the athletes and artists in terms of filling the
Thank you, honourable members. That brings us to the end of the questions. It is 90 minutes have expired now. All other questions that have not been responded to, we have received the written responses, and members will obviously have received those written responses. Can I just, members, before we actually go over to one of the other items, that it was an oversight from me. Actually, we do have member statements for today. My apologies, members. I was incorrectly informed that there are no member statements. I have received an indication from the Chief Whip that there is a member statement from the DA as well as from the ANC. Can we then deal with those issues before we go over to the next item on the agenda? The member statements, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is Honourable Cowley from the DA. May I proceed?
Yes, ma'am, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. On the 25th of May this year, I put a motion with notice to the House in terms of Section 131 of the Eastern Cape Standing Rules of Order that called for the House to resolve that the Premier dismiss the MEC for health. During a multi-party whips meeting, the ANC objected to the motion being debated based on faulty legal advice given to them that it is unconstitutional to debate a motion of no confidence in an individual member of the Executive Council. I sought high-level legal opinion in this regard, and because my motion was not a motion of no confidence, it is not subject to the provisions as stated by Section 141 of the Constitution. It is simply a notice of motion calling for a resolution in terms of which the Premier should dismiss the MEC for health. Furthermore, it is not unconstitutional to take a stance on whether the MEC is competent to fulfil her duties, because the result of the debate is not binding on the Premier. The discretion lies with him as to whether he acts upon the resolution if it is passed. The ANC's attempt to muzzle the opposition parties to protect their own failures is pathetic and expected. It says more about the desperate state of the ruling party, which, despite publicly denouncing corruption and criminality, would rather protect an alleged criminal than appoint a qualified and competent champion for health in the province. Some of the failures under the MEC's watch are continued chronic understaffing of all hospitals and almost all clinics, putting the workers under immense strain. Hospitals and clinics managed by unqualified officials.
Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker.
I think you can protect me, Speaker. I'm finished.
Honourable Saziwa, what is your problem?
Can I call for an order, Honourable Speaker?
What is your order, Honourable Saziwa?
The honourable member is stating that the MEC is a criminal and no court has found it to be a criminal. So that is the order I'm calling for. She must withdraw that part.
Honourable member, you are called to withdraw.
I said very clearly alleged. You may read it, you may listen to it in the Hansard. I'll continue. No tangible plans to decentralise the EMS service in the province. No functional plan of action to implement any of the recommendations made by the Health Ombudsman or the Administrator, Professor Mkhize, to improve mental health care, and an appalling lack of integrated planning and implementation to respond to COVID-19, and very poor communication strategy to the Health Portfolio Committee and to the public, who have essentially been kept in the dark from the outset of the pandemic. According to my top legal advice, this motion may proceed in the same manner as any other motion provided for under Section 131 of the Standing Rules. I will therefore resubmit the motion, and I challenge the ruling party to man up and debate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I will now go over to the ANC for their member statement.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It is Amilcar Cabral who once said, I quote, "Hide nothing from the masses or our people. Tell no lies, expose lies whenever they are told. Mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures, claim no easy victories," close quote. Prophets of doom had already professed that ANC government and its people have no strategy, no capacity to fight COVID-19. However, today's progress demonstrates that ANC government and its people are demonstrating tremendous progress. Reports show that in the province of the Eastern Cape, there is a reduction of the morbidity and mortality associated with COVID-19. 58% of the COVID-19 cases occurred in July, 27.6% in June, and only 9.4% in August. Similarly, 50.9% of the deaths occurred in July, 27.6% in June, and 10.8% in August. The province is currently sitting at 95% recovery rate. This is a good story to tell by the ANC-led government. We are inspired by the sound leadership provided by the Premier and the members of the executive. In this crisis, the provincial government has seen an opportunity to build a capable state. This government has a lot of legacy projects, including renovations of hospitals and clinics. The people of this province were not entirely distressed because the ANC-led government has distributed relief funds. We commend and further applaud the provincial government for publicly releasing the companies and its directors who supplied PPEs to the provincial government. This is in line with Section 217 of the Constitution. However, we call on people of the province, as cautioned by Minister Mkhize, to remain vigilant in that I quote, the trajectory of the pandemic has stabilized. Such a resurgence remains a real and present danger in our own country, close quote. There is still a lot of work to be done. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Makashela, Chief Whip. I will now hand over to the Acting Premier, MEC Mvoko, and he will then assign who will speak on the two member statements, the one from the DA and then the other one from the ANC. Over to you, MEC Mvoko. Please be reminded that for each response you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I don't know what's happening here. My screen is showing me many things. Battling to get it right. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me talk to the motion by the Democratic Alliance. After the MEC Ngomonye will talk to the ANC motion. The motion by the Democratic Alliance, I think the first thing we have to say is I can't tell them what they can do and not do. They will see what to do. I can't tell them what we can do. But one thing that I must be very clear about is that the Premier is the one that appoints and is the one that fires. The Democratic Alliance is not going to rule at the back of the ANC by appointing and firing MCs. I think that suffices on the motion by Honorable Kaul. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kumonye, you are up next.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you once again, Honorable Speaker. We truly appreciate the motion by the African National Congress, and we concur with them that since the outbreak of the pandemic, the journey has not been easy, and therefore it would be amiss of us to claim easy victories. We can't tell lies, of course, because the number of those who demised from COVID-19 was really unexpected, and one death is too many, and thus we bow our heads in honor of those who have demised because of the COVID-19. As the provincial government, we are doing our utmost best in ensuring that we continue to provide at least public healthcare service that meets the standard. Of course, the virus has really shown us that there are a number of challenges that we have in our facilities, and that's why we are moving swiftly to ensure that we upgrade the hospitals and ensure that the medication that is needed in hospitals and that the PPE is greatly provided. We truly are inspired as well by the leadership that has been shown by the Honorable Premier, who is currently not in the House or in the sitting, because he is embarking on a visit of ensuring that the schools are ready for the uptake of the learners in this crisis, and ensure that the hospitals are being upgraded, as well as ensure that there is food security, because in the midst of a crisis, one needs to eat. And that's why the president has always been saying we are concerned with the lives of the people, but also we are very much concerned with the livelihood of the people. So we truly appreciate the motion by the statement by the chief whip, and from the ANC. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MEC Kumonye. For that, I will now hand over to the Deputy Speaker to take over at this point. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and good afternoon to honorable members. At this juncture, I will ask the Secretary to read the first order of the day.
Consideration, tabling of the report by the Speaker of the Legislature in terms of Section 62 of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act 2009.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Just the background to the report in terms of Section 57 of the FIMPLA that provides that within 2 months after the end of the financial year, the accounting officer must submit annual financial statements to the Auditor General and to the Provincial Treasury for inclusion in the consolidated financial statements. This means that for the 2019-2020 financial year, the financial statements are due to be submitted by the end of May 2020. However, it must be noted that due to the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country and the resultant lockdown, it has made it impossible for the accounting officer to be able to prepare and submit the financial statements within the timeframes stipulated in the Act. The effect of the national lockdown is that officials were not able to have access to the offices, to interact with each other, or to interact with the Office of the Internal Audit, as movement was restricted. In light of the above, the legislature's ability to prepare the financial statements in time was severely affected. The FIMPLA envisages this situation where the accounting officer may not be able to submit the financial statements and has specific provisions that must be complied with in case of this eventuality. Section 62, 1A of the FIMPLA provides that if the accounting officer does not submit the annual financial statements to the Auditor General in accordance with Section 57, the accounting officer must promptly submit a written explanation setting out the reasons for such failure to the Auditor General as well as the Executive Authority. The accounting officer has duly submitted such an explanation for the failure to submit the financial statements both to the Auditor General and the Executive Authority. The Minister of Finance has extended timeframes for submitting of annual financial statements in respect of the departments and institutions falling under the PFMA, and their extensions was up until the end of July. We have also attached the Government Gazette number 43188 issued by the Minister of Finance in terms of Section 92 of the PFMA for your ease of reference. This Gazette extends the time frame for the submission of the financial statements in respect of the public service departments and organs of state to the end of July 2020. The extension was based on the fact that due to COVID-19 and the stop-start that is being experienced by government departments would make it impossible for them to compile credible financial statements within 2 months after the financial year is as envisaged by the PFMA. Unfortunately, the extension above did not apply to the legislative sector as was made in terms of the PFMA. With respect to other legislatures, they have also not been able to submit their financial statements within the timeframes as stated in Section 57 of the FIMPLA, as they have also been affected by the pandemic of COVID-19. The legislature sector have therefore agreed that they will need up to the end of July to submit the financial statements and will also act in terms of the above provisions. The House, therefore, must note and approve the submission of the financial statements by the 31st of July 2020. Thank you so much. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I have concluded the tabling.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I now put the report.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Agreed.
Objection?
Agreed.
No objection. There being none, honorable members, the report will be included in minutes of the proceedings, and a copy of the proceedings will be duly transmitted to the Office of the Auditor General. I will now ask the Secretary to read the second order of the day.
Consideration of reports of portfolio, safety and liaison on oversight visits to police stations in Queenstown in the Chris Hani District Municipality.
Secretary, may I invite the chairperson to present the report. Honorable Speaker, can you mute your mic that side? Thank you. Chairperson.
Hello.
Yes, proceed, Chairperson, present the report. 20 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, I have a challenge of network where I am. I would like to request the representative to proceed with on my
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Benjamin, can you please go through the report quickly? And I suggest that the members of the committee are together. Just take the report.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have the report in front of me. I will depend on the report that is flighted.
Honorable Chairperson of the portfolio, you can just table the report because the members do have the report with them. And I think if there are clarities, they will be addressed to the committee members and the MEC. Can you just formally table the report without reading?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I then do present and table the report on behalf of Safety and Liaison on the visit of the Ilinge and Ematribeni communities. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much. Are there clarities, honorable members, sought from the committee? None. Clarities to the MEC? None. We are now going to invite members to debate the report. Democratic Alliance, Honorable Von Brockenroder, 12 minutes. You can go straight to the podium.
Acting Premier, Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, members of the executive, all honorable members, and members of the public, I greet you in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, it will be amiss of me if I do not add my voice of congratulatory remarks to the Democratic Alliance for hosting its first ever successful virtual Congress in Africa. It speaks of volumes of the kind of party and leadership we have. Furthermore, it is most fitting to congratulate the new PEC members of the Democratic Alliance, and I would like to wish them well on the term of office. Deputy Speaker, I stand before you today in a state of anger, sadness, and desperation. because the police officers in Ilinge, whom supposed to be the cornerstone of safety and of the community, whom are the first line of defense against criminality, and are not upholding their oath to protect, serve the community. Deputy Speaker, I'm standing here to speak on behalf of the community. It is supposed to be protected by the Ilinge police station. But guess what, Deputy Speaker? This community no longer trusts their own police. They are refusing to open cases, not because of what? They feel that they are wasting their time, and they've opted to take the law into their own hands. What a shame. They are fearing that police are working with criminals, and therefore they don't feel safe in their own community. It is my view, Deputy Speaker, that South African police should protect all residents in South Africa regarding of race, gender, or nationality. It is why then, Deputy Speaker, that the community are saying that the police officers of Ilinge are being xenophobic. Why are the police refusing to open cases of foreign nationals? Are they not supposed to be residents of this country that we call home? Deputy Speaker, this has led to the community taking the law into their own hands. Yet again, I ask, did the police officers whom took an oath to protect, serve, and uphold the law are not there for all the citizens in this country? Speaker, as we all know, the lack of infrastructure, staff, and corporate governance is evident present in South African police. This is extremely clear in the oversight report at Ilinge Police Station. This police station has been run with minimal supervision or no support. Several cases have been opened at the police station, but the community do not receive any feedback. Above all, Deputy Speaker, Deputy Speaker, we need to act against these individuals that are committing crimes. And we cannot do it under the banner of SAPS. As recent as past weekend, it is alleged that two ladies dressed in full police attire arrived at the shop where a victim worked. The alleged policewoman questioned the victim about a robbery that took place 2 months ago. These two so-called policemen then proceeded to kidnap the victim and requested a ransom amount. She was then forcefully taken and dropped off by a nearby bush on the R75 in Kirkwood. Deputy Speaker, this happened in a constituency which I lead, a Newtnake. This is a clear example of Section 203 of the Police Act being breached. Trust and ethical behavior should be the order of the day in South African police in the Eastern Cape. The instance at Ilinge Police Station in this finding today, in this report, shows that an officer was caught stealing a sheep. It's a blatant demonstration of the abuse of power at the hands of the individual that's supposed to uphold the law. A police officer found breaking the law is no more a police officer. Deputy Speaker, he is a criminal and he must be treated as such. During our deliberation which became clear at that the current station commander, what I called, is not fit for purpose. Allow me to cite a few examples. When questioned about how many vehicles the station has, the station commander could not answer. When he was questioned as to if there was any shortage of personnel at the station, yet again, the station commander could not respond. Deputy Speaker, guess who? The cluster commander had in my view, Deputy Speaker, this station is a dysfunctional station and it needs to be acted upon. A police officer by the name of Sergeant Friesler murdered and killed in the northern areas of Port Elizabeth whilst off duty. May his soul rest in peace. There is a saying, prevention is better than cure. As per the recommendation of this report, both the cluster as well as the provincial commander should fill all funded vacant posts as a matter of urgency. And that is to be in compliance of Section 205 of the Constitution. Deputy Speaker, we should stop robbing Peter to pay Paul. We must stop using the cluster members to act as a station member, but rather fill this vacancy with speed. Deputy Speaker, stock theft is on an upward trajectory in this cluster, and there was no successes or reduction in this crime. It is for this reason that the Democratic Alliance will continue advocating for establishment of specialized unit. Albert Einstein said, and I quote, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result," close quote. Let's stop doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I therefore appeal to the MEC of Safety as well as the Provincial Commission of SAPS to restore law and order at the Ilingi police station and to be compliant with Section 205 of the Constitution. It is only the DA that will create safe community environment for communities to thrive in. We need again to gain the trust of communities by rendering police service that is so desperately needed in creating a safe environment for our children, where our kids can be safe from harm, citizens can walk our cities and townships without any fear, and criminals are caught promptly and prosecuted speedily. The Democratic Alliance supports this report. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I will now call upon United Democratic Movement, Honourable Sultana, to take the floor. You've got 4 minutes. I'm informed that Honourable Sultana is absent.
Yes, I am in.
Oh, you are present.
Yes, I'm present. There we go. Go to all the victims of crime, especially violent crime perpetrated either by persons known to the victims or in an environment where one would least expect it, say in a home, which is suddenly turned into a crime scene. When a crime is perpetrated and the victim reports it to the police, there is always a high hope that the police will swing into action, make an arrest, and finally secure a conviction in a court of law. However, with what was observed in Ilinge and Matsibini, suggestions that hope, when there is repetitive failure by police to do their job, then communities lose hope in the state machinery and just take the law into their own hands. Thus, a secondary wave of crime is perpetrated. Consequently, the police force complain that they are overwhelmed by the sudden increase in the criminality in a community. What is reported about in this visit is quite similar to what I was confronted with in Mapuzi police station near Coffee Bay on the 29th of June this year, insofar as operations is concerned. Reported murder cases not being investigated, complainants not updated on progress, etc. However, in my case, the female station commander, Colonel Number, quickly followed up on a March 2020 female murder case. 4 suspects have since been to court twice already. So the question here is, how often does the Honorable MEC and the Provincial Commissioner actually visit police stations? I wonder. Here's what should be done to ensure efficient and effective policing. 1, make police officers accountable for their weekly actions and verify the reports you get from them. Number 2, create strategies that bring back community trust in the police. When I got to Mapuzi, this trust was not there at all, and the community was no longer keen to even bother to report cases. Today, that trust is back. Number 3, review the current operating and supervisory methods and also identify factors that contribute to the laissez-faire attitude of the police. Next one is develop scientific strategy, tactics, and technology that will enhance the efficacy of policing without being visible. We live in a modern era. The next one is feedback to complainants is a masterstroke for building and sustaining public confidence in the police force. It must be implemented. Next one, make use of technology to counter the staff shortages. We can't be complaining about shortage of staff nowadays. We should be using modern technology for effective policing. The last one, there should be dire personal consequences for police criminals. Is our MEC in a position to respond and make sure that the citizens of the Eastern Cape have got trust in the police force, which I wonder if it needs to move and move. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Piltane. I will now call upon the African National Congress, Honorable Benjamin.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I will mute my radio so that I have better reception because we have there is no power currently here where I am, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, our respected guests and officials that are watching virtually, I greet you all. Through you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, if you could travel back in time, that specific time, and ask a man, a woman, a worker, at that time how it felt to be an African. Honorable members, I say this as we have seemingly forgotten about our history or chose to compare the system of democracy to a system which has got traits of colonization. Honorable Deputy Speaker, colonization thought that African art traditions and knowledge were not developed as their own. They usually ignored indigenous knowledge and thought that their own scientific knowledge was better. They brought their own language, they also brought European culture and ideas into Africa. As we are celebrating the Heritage Month in an address marking Heritage Day in 1996, the former President Nelson Mandela stated, and I quote, When our first democratically elected government decided to make Heritage Day one of our national days, we did so because we knew that our rich and varied cultural heritage has a profound power to help build our new nation, close quote. Honorable Deputy Speaker, in the past, South African police were central to ensuring the maintenance of apartheid, as we know. Police personnel at all levels were involved in attempts to undermine the mass democratic movement. It is well documented and public knowledge that police were involved in the detention, torture, and harassment of political activists opposing the apartheid state. Police have also been implicated in hit squad activities and the deaths of key activists. Under the apartheid rule, the police force lacked legitimacy and functioned as an instrument of control rather than as a police service dedicated to ensuring the safety of all citizens. Further than that, while the police force has historically employed a majority of black officers, these appointments have largely been of a low rank in South African police force. Black police officers have experienced extreme difficulties with regards to promotion, and the management of police services remains largely white. Discrimination based on race, ethnicity, and gender has been stark within the police service, giving rise to much dissatisfaction amongst police officers in South Africa. As the Committee of Safety and Liaison,
Department to improve criminal justice system outcomes and convictions through multi-sectoral implementation of the provincial safety strategy and the drug master plan. Elevation of matters of national competency to the National Secretariat and the National Commissioner for Intervention and Consideration. The department is aware of the immense pressure of the existing financial and human resources of the South African Police Services. We will continue to work closely with the Provincial Commissioner to find amicable solutions to improve policing norms and standards. Our priority is to provide quality feedback to the petitioners and the community of the Ilinge precinct. In terms specific cases stipulated for responses, let me report as follows. The Provincial Commissioner has tasked Colonel Benengu to conduct some investigation into the allegations and found the following. In Ilinge case number 9 of April 2019 is a stock theft case where 5 cattle were stolen. There were 2 complaints in the case where one lost a cattle and the other lost 4 cattle. The complainants didn't know each other, but their cases were consolidated into one case, although their stock was not stolen on the same place, date, and time. The case was closed as undetected on the 23rd of May 2019. The feedback on the progress of investigation was never given to either of the complainants. In Ilinge case number 804/2019. On this case, 5 cases were compacted in one case in the same manner as above. All 5 complainants did not know each other. One of the complainants, Mr. Hantimpi, was called on cell number 079500800, and he confirmed that he met other people at the police station who also come to report their stolen stock. This was confirmed by Mr. Bibi, who was made a complainant on their cases. No feedback on progress was given to any of them. Ilinge case number 1 of 8 of 2019 and 1209/2019, both cases are combined and are running in court. They were remanded for the 27th of August 2020. Ilinge case number 5 of June 2019, there is no suspect. Investigation continues. Post-mortem report is failed. Ilinge case number 4 of May 2016, murder case withdrawn pending availability of witnesses who are not cooperating and their addresses are unknown and alleged to be in Cape Town. The last court date was the 21st of August 2019. Ilinge case number 7 of December 2014, breach of protection order. The order was served to the plaintiff and the public prosecutor Mali withdrew the case. Ilinge case number 22 of December 28 in assault GPH, the complainant could not provide witness and the case was withdrawn by the prosecutor. Ilinge case number 24 of March 2018 of burglary, the suspect was arrested selling a laptop and the case was withdrawn by the prosecutor as there was no evidence linking him to the crime. There was no case of possession of suspected stolen property. Sergeant Malman was arrested for stock theft and he was then dismissed in a disciplinary hearing. The case is still pending in court in Ilinge. A robbery case was reported by an Ethiopian national who is a shop owner. He refused to open a case even after intervention by Captain Tukwayo of the cluster office. The station closes at night and sometimes there will be 2 members on duty who will then close the station when they have to attend to serious cases. This is caused by the shortage of members and the district commander is aware of the situation. The question of members exchanging firearms or deadly weapon with drug dealers could not be founded except a situation where POP members seized firearms like weapons which were sent to the ballistic and found to be toy guns. The JLF 195 EC vehicle that was used to steal a tank belongs to the Department of Public Works, and the person who witnessed it refused to submit a station to that effect. I therefore call on the Provincial Commissioner to implement the recommendations of the Portfolio Committee and to ensure peace and stability in this community. The head of department will ensure proper civilian oversight to ensure that there is measurable progress to address the concerns of the community. My office will submit a detailed response to the committee after the tabling of the report and will track the implementation of undertakings by the South African Police Services towards a caring and professional community service center that must benefit the community. I thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Any objection? Thank you very much. There being none, honourable members, I will ask the Secretary to read the third order of the day. Secretary.
Draft resolution, Mr. E. van Vieren, delivering of food parcels during COVID-19.
Speaker, muted. Is muted. Thank you. Deputy Speaker, I'm pretty a problem. Do I address you or do I address Madam Speaker? Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honourable Premier, members of the Executive, members of the Provincial Legislature, officials from different governmental departments, and also those connected virtually to plenary today. I humbly greet you. Honourable Speaker, I am bringing this motion that I have already moved in terms of Rule 131(1) of the standing rules of this House, noting the exorbitant cost of the food prices that were delivered to the most vulnerable during the national lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic for debate in the House today. The Democratic Alliance deemed it necessary to bring this motion for debate to this House because the unacceptable inflated food prices goes beyond comprehension. Honourable Speaker, before I deal with this most important motion, allow me, as my colleague Honourable van Boegenode have done before me, to congratulate my party, the Democratic Alliance in the Eastern Cape under the leadership of Councillor Naba Banga for the first most successful virtual provincial Congress held this past weekend. The Congress was a huge success. I will now read the notice of motion for those that have not been privy to me moving the motion in the House. I hereby give notice that I will move in terms of Rule 131 of the standing rules at this House, noting the exorbitant cost of the food parcels that are delivered to the most vulnerable during the national lockdown due to COVID-19 pandemic. Based on the retail prices, had social development purchased the goods directly from retailers, the province could have sourced more than 21,000 additional food parcels for people who are literally starving. Suppliers have also appeared to have taken shortcuts, supplying expired food items with reports of some parcels such as those distributed in the Nkuma municipality being maggot infested. Based on a shopping basket of comparative goods, the cost of a food parcel with long life milk came to 874.67, while the parcels with milk powder come to 837.17. The SASA food parcels were costed at 1,365.23 rand per parcel. Therefore results that a full account of the suppliers who were appointed be supplied to the House for further investigation. That a detailed cost breakdown per supplier per district be supplied to the House for further investigation. That the department cut out the middleman and buy directly from distributors. Madam Speaker, when the President announced that the country would be under national lockdown from 27 March 2020, we all knew that things would be a little different. A new normal were to be created where adaptation to life changes were necessitated. We also know that there would be a sharp increase of people because of the forced circumstances due to COVID-19 regulations would become reliant on the government for essential services and goods, such as the availability of food parcels and the provision of cooked meals, shelters for the homeless, and a social distress grant for those that are unemployed and receives absolutely no income. Honourable Speaker, the Democratic Alliance does not want to counter the efforts shown and implemented by government, but we are of the opinion that the government could have done better to fully support all those mentioned above and millions others in distress. Honourable Speaker, in the Eastern Cape, those reliant on government for the provision of food have experienced a roller coaster ride, and one that has not produced joy and contentment, rather panic, fear, and desperation. Honourable Speaker, there have been numerous reports of thousands of people who have applied for food parcels, whose requests were granted but never actually received the food parcels. Honourable Speaker, the Eastern Cape Department of Social Development has admitted that the current budget available for food parcels for a distribution to families in need due to the current coronavirus outbreak in the province is very insufficient. Bear in mind, it's insufficient, and you couple that to the inflated food prices. In response to a letter I wrote to the MEC for Social Development, Honourable Sipokasi Mani Lusiti, the department has confirmed that the provincial SASSA funding allocation for 2021 financial year totaling 45.5 million is enough to procure 33,390 food parcels for the province. This funding was barely enough to supply 12.6% of the 264,312 households in the province, whom the department says have zero income and have no idea where their next meal is coming from, but a food parcel that will last for less than a month. Honourable Speaker, the department has indicated that while it has no specific coronavirus funding available to it, it does have access to an allocation for social relief services meant to assist people who are experiencing undue hardship and who as a result find it difficult to meet their family basic needs and obligations. The total budget allocation for this is 5.2 million, which could procure an additional 3,852 food parcels using the SASSA rate of 1,359.18 per parcel. This means combined there is enough money to procure 37,242 food parcels based on the SASSA rate. The department says there's currently more than 1.2 million households in the Eastern Cape living below the living levels. These family circumstances have only been aggravated by the current lockdown, as it has removed the possibility of part-time and contract work, which is often the sole source of income for these families. We are seeing them standing the streets day by day. With thousands of jobs on the line, what happens when the first round of food parcels have been bought and distributed and these funds have been depleted? I was relieved that the department acted on suggestions put forward by the Democratic Alliance and was in the process of submitting a proposal to Treasury to secure additional funds to assist with the distribution of food parcels to families in dire need due to the current lockdown. It is absolutely vital that the relief funding being sought be granted and that the turnaround time for handing out food parcels needs to be expedited. For families who have already been under lockdown for quite some time, the need for assistance should be imminent, and delays in distribution could literally have life or death implication. At a time like this, when we are confronting the unknown, all parties need to work together to find the best solutions for this province. Honourable Speaker, the government failed to feed all those that were hungry, even those that have applied and were approved and not supplied with a food parcel. We have read of food parcels delivered to the houses of councillors, and I can state categorically here today, not one of our DA councillors were implicated in these heinous acts of denying the most vulnerable the basic food supply for survival. Not one DA councillor. The people have lost trust in this government, especially if one considers the inflated food parcels. And let me share with you the inflated food parcels. Honourable Speaker, the apparent inflated prices for food parcels distributed by SASSA in the Eastern Cape is extremely worrying. Honourable Fishlani.
Yes. Just to ask the member.
I've still got a long speech, Honourable Deputy Speaker, maybe tomorrow. Sorry. Honourable Deputy Speaker, sorry for that. The apparent inflated prices for food parcels distributed by SASSA in the Eastern Cape is extremely worrying, with an estimated 16 million or more skipped off the top of the 48 million made available. 16 million. This comes on top of allegations of political bias in the distribution of food parcels made available. A preliminary investigation based on the standardized list of content per SASSA food parcel has revealed that the Department of Social Development could have saved up to 63% if they had bought the goods themselves. Thank you. This is based on a simple comparison of the retail prices of the listed items in the SASSA food parcels, taken from a regional bulk retailer in the province. It does not factor in any discount that the supplier could have received for volume purchases, which would have offset any transport or incidental costs. Based on the retail prices, had Social Development purchased the goods directly from retailers, the province could have sourced more than 21,000 additional food parcels for people who are literally starving as opposed to lining the pockets of cadres. Despite huge profit margins, unscrupulous suppliers have also appeared to have taken shortcuts, supplying expired food items, with reports of some parcels, such as those distributed in Huma municipality, being maggot infested. It has also come to our attention that the items were not even packaged into individual parcels, but delivered in bulk, with the packaging being left to officials from Social Development. So why the inflation of it? The standard food parcels include 1 times 12 kilogram maize meal, 2 times 1 kilogram of Vita porridge, 2 times 750 ml sunflower cooking oil, 6 times 400 gram tons of pulses. If you look at that, based on a shopping basket of the comparative goods, the cost of a food parcel with long life milk came to 874.67, while the parcel with milk powder come to 837.17. The SASA food parcel was costed at 1,365.23 cents per parcel. If all parcels included long life milk, an estimated profit of 16,379,798 rand could be made, while if all parcels included milk powder instead, the profit is estimated at 17.6 million rand. Those are the profit lines. I will be writing to the MEC of Social Development to request a full account of the suppliers who were appointed, a detailed cost breakdown per supplier, per district to account for the funds spent and the processes followed in appointing them. When there have been irregularities such as the supply of expired or rotten foodstuffs, suppliers must be immediately blacklisted. Future contracts awarded must be immediately cancelled, and all funds paid to them must be recouped. If evidence of officials or political meddling in the awarding of these contracts is found, criminal charges must be laid. We cannot allow the connected elite to get rich at the expense of the poor. Honourable Speaker, I have written countless letters to the MEC for Social Development, Ms. Madi Luciti, about my concerns regarding food parcels costing, applications and delivery. Even though I did receive responses to some of my concerns, but as things heated up, the responses stopped. Madam Speaker, I understand that the MEC for Social Development and the provincial government were thrown into the deep with the phenomenon of the national lockdown. This was, however, a golden opportunity to show to South Africa and the people of the Eastern Cape that they are a capable government, but unfortunately, it once again highlighted the severe shortcomings and lack of will to serve our people. I'm almost finished. The inflated cost of the food parcels through closed tender deals, and mostly to those associated to leaders within government as reported in newspapers, have resulted in less food parcels being procured. Honourable Speaker, the Democratic Alliance is also deeply perturbed that the Social Development Department refused to pay service centres for the aged, even though evidence existed that these service centres provided cooked meals, food parcels, etc. to the elderly. To us and to many, it is obvious that due to the inflated food parcels cost, the Social Development Department has refused to pay the service centres, resulting in our age to suffer unnecessary due to the incompetence. Lastly, Honourable Speaker, the Democratic Alliance abhors the deliberate inflating of food parcels for self-enrichment and is of the firm opinion that all tenders should be open to the public. And only those who are deserving and meeting the criteria should be successful candidates. Tenders that are open for the public will minimize catered tenderpreneurs. And it is in the interest of this government to be transparent, fair, and giving opportunities to those that have the capabilities. This would have resulted in the best food prices and more food parcels for our people. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Botha, can you please unmute and take the podium? We are waiting for you.
Thank you. Who is that Deputy Speaker now speaking to me?
Yes, it's you now.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, all protocol observed. The spread of the global COVID-19 in South Africa on the vulnerable households that are facing temporary and permanent employment interruptions. Food security is and has become a stark reality for many South African households, with approximately 50% of households living under the poverty line and not being able to afford basic healthy eating. Most of the people also fall within the low-income bracket households that typically spend about a third of their total expenditure on food. Food security is under
You're muted, sir.
Hello?
Now we can hear you.
In addition, the primary caretakers of these households now have more mouths to feed, including children that previously benefited from the National School Feeding Program and now relying on their primary caregivers for food. Bearing testimony to the negative effect of COVID-19, the South African Social Security Agency as much as 900 hours per day as the demand for parcels increases. And shockingly, way before in lockdown, the National Department of Social Development did research and also acknowledged and told the country that in 2018, close to 1 million households had severely inadequate access to food, and another 2.5 million households had inadequate access to food. Armed with this knowledge, the department could have harnessed various partnerships to ensure that during the lockdown, all possible safe and well-coordinated efforts are made to reach the most vulnerable in delivering much-needed food parcels. As we find ourselves in the midst of the grip of the greatest health emergency our country has faced in over a century, we are witnessing theft of food. Food meant for COVID-19 unemployed, the vulnerable, the destitute, and the sick is being stolen. It is also disheartening to hear, and my colleague has pointed out, the poor quality of food parcels that are being given to people, coupled with maladministration and collusion in the distribution of food parcels to the poor in our province. And due to that, some food parcel recipients in the Eastern Cape have been calling for food vouchers after receiving food parcels infested with weevils or maggots. Angry residents shared a video on social media showing contaminated food and saying that they felt dehumanized by the ruling party's food parcels. Honorable Deputy Speaker, there are various reports also highlighting the delays by officials in distributing donated food parcels or even to get NGOs involved to help with the distribution. In the town of Kraddock, the local SPA had donated 300 food parcels for distribution to the needy in their community. But for days in April, the food languished in the local community center, despite the fact that parcels included perishable vegetables. So what happened was that SPA donation had been handed over to the local municipality as per the lockdown regulations. But the local government officials didn't take responsibility for getting the food out to the people that needed it. I have also received numerous reports since the start of COVID-19 of corruption pertaining to food parcel distribution for electioneering. And I'm sure that all members are well aware and of well-documented reports from across South Africa that politicians and officials were involved in distributing food parcels to family, friends, and ANC supporters. It is also alleged that food parcels were even sold to the people that should be receiving it for free. And this kind of irresponsible conduct by politicians and government officials, Deputy Speaker, who should be serving the people of our province with dignity and respect, should not be entertained. It should be investigated. The DA condemns this disgusting behavior and reiterate our call for the Department of Social Development to probe these allegations and to hold the guilty parties accountable. On the 14th of April, the ANC's provincial chairperson and Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane distanced the ruling party from claims of food parcel corruption and vowed to stop the rot if any is found guilty. Now, can the Premier please provide us with some progress, factual and verifiable information that he has indeed detected and investigated and dealt with some of these claims? Or will he, just like other premiers before him, hide the rot in order to spare his political party the embarrassment? Deputy Speaker, I want to tell this House that the ANC is squarely to blame for the unemployment, the hunger, and COVID-19 corruption that our people are experiencing today in this province. The ruling party has failed dismally to ensure that there is proper effective measures in place to mitigate and reduce opportunities of food parcel corruption. This failure of the ruling party is due to weak leadership, incompetence, race-based politics, and an enormous appetite to eat and drink up the people's food money. Our province is not just the epicenter of the pandemic, but it's become an epicenter of corruption. Deputy Speaker, given all of the above, frustrations, pain, and suffering that was caused by the ruling party in its bad management of the pandemic, there is still hope for South Africans. Their hope lies in a political party that doesn't divide people based on race. Their hope lies in a party that doesn't sell or give jobs to family, friends, and crony connections. Their hope lies in punishing the ANC at the next election and to reward the DA for a track record of good governance by voting us into government. A DA-led provincial government is the only hope for our province. Honourable Deputy Speaker, DA government's COVID-19 food parcel distributions is successful because across the board, they have partnered with local NGOs, grassroots organizations, private donors, farmers, and business to ensure that food relief flows to the most vulnerable communities. We don't fight with civil society organizations. We don't exclude them. We trust them. We appreciate them. And we include them in our plans in order to put the people's needs first. In the DA-led Western Cape provincial government, we have introduced food parcel vouchers because when used correctly, it can be very convenient as people will buy what they need when they need it. The DA's Western Cape government's humanitarian cluster is giving dignity to its people as it will be reporting on their food data strategic review, and they will release a paper on lessons of food vouchers learned. Our food parcel distribution data tracking system dashboard in the Western Cape eliminates food parcel corruption because we have a system that can, at the press of a button, tell you per area how many food parcels has been distributed in that area linked to a recipient. In the Western Cape, we're also moving to support local economies by using voucher linked to community kitchens. In 20 clusters and about 200 soup kitchens, we will be introducing this. Our DA governments will strive to provide even more nutritional food that can ensure better health outcomes that will reach beyond the pandemic. And in conclusion, Deputy Speaker, the DA is of a strong view that councillors and politicians in general should not be involved in the distribution of food parcels, cash payments, or distribution of food vouchers, as it creates conditions for looting and political abuse. The people of the Eastern Cape can bring change about by punishing the ANC for its corrupt tendencies come the 2021 local government elections. Let's stop food parcel corruption together by joining and voting for the DA for good governance. I thank you.
UDM.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, I greet you all. The lockdown has unfortunately taken a significant toll on countless impoverished communities across South Africa, especially those who live from hand to mouth. This is the current reality for many living in South Africa, despite the fact that our constitution affords some of the most comprehensive protection and inclusive of socio-economic rights in comparison to its global counterparts. The Bill of Rights makes explicit provision for socio-economic rights which are legally enforceable and places to legal duty on the government to take active steps to progressively implement these rights and ensure their protection. Given the horizontal application of our Bill of Rights, even the private sector and private individuals have obligations to respect and promote the human rights enshrined therein. Yet, despite having a constitution which is designed, committed to promoting social justice, South Africa remains one of the most unequal countries in the world, and the current crisis has simply served to highlight just how far we need to go to make provision for even the most basic of rights of all in this country. The fact that many communities across the country still do not have access to basic supply of water, housing, adequate food supplies, access to basic supply of water, housing, and adequate food supplies has been thrown into sharp focus. How can anyone heed the call to wash their hands when they have no access to clean water? How do you observe social distancing when you share a small shack with a number of others in a densely populated informal settlement? It is recognized the real urgency of providing at least temporary access to water and at least rudimentary forms of housing to disparate communities. Deputy Speaker, andaloba kukhona na onomngqushwana phaka phezulu ukubaxelela uba babathule. Long term is required to address hunger and food securities in our community. There is a protest over the distribution of food parcels in Zwelitsha and Tanzania, which turned violent on allegation of food parcel corruption leveled at councillors. Across the country, ANC councillors have looted money meant to buy food parcels and have abused their power to only give food to ANC voters. Lento eyenzekayo i-UDM soze yenzeke kuyo lento embi kangaka yenziwe ebantwini. Abantu baqhuthwe uboya okwenkukhu zihleli ngoku zihambe zilandela nje uba kufunwa nje le 350 ekumoshwa ngayo abantu. Enkosi Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Damase. Honorable Damase. African National Congress.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, can you hear me?
Very well.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier and your Executive Council, Honorable members of this House, the administrative arm of our province,
the citizens of this province from all walks of life, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. From the outset, as the pandemic became part of our lives, the ANC government made a commitment to South Africans that it will leave no stone unturned in saving both lives and livelihoods. This commitment was not made lightly, as we are all aware that millions of South Africans in the informal economy and those without employment were and are still struggling to survive. As the response to the well-documented conditions of South Africans, a comprehensive social security program has been launched. No amount of politicking must be allowed to second-guess correctness of this extended social security program. It was necessary and remains important. And as the ANC, we must not retreat from ensuring that no South African goes to sleep without food, without shelter, without clothing. Among the important interventions which require to be strengthened while resolving its teething problems is temporary coronavirus grant. Through this grant, the child support grant beneficiaries now receive an extra 300 rand from May 2020, and between June to October, they will receive an additional 500 rand each month. All other grant beneficiaries now receive an extra 250 rand per month. In addition, a special COVID-19 social relief of distress grant of 350 a month for the next 6 months, despite its teething problems, is now paid to individuals who are currently unemployed and do not receive any other form of social grant or UIF payment. In recognition that the food distribution capacity of government is not adequate to meet the huge need that has arisen since the start of the pandemic, the South African Social Security Agency, SASSA, was instructed by government within days to implement a technology-based solution to roll out food assistance at larger scale through vouchers and cash transfers to ensure that help reaches those who need it faster and more efficiently. As the ANC, we were the first party to call for a decisive action to be taken, wherein unscrupulous people abuse the distribution of food and other assistance for corrupt ends. We repeat once more that those involved in such activities must face the full might of the law. However, we will not allow for this critical intervention to be diminished for cheap political gains. As part of saving livelihoods, the ANC welcomes the additional 100 billion rand set aside for job creation and job retention. It is a noble intervention that South African government has set aside 40 billion rands for income support payments for workers whose employers are not able to pay their wages. However, it is surprising, but not unexpected, that in this motion, all such grand interventions are neither recognized nor applauded. The intention is clear, Honorable Deputy Speaker. We must see no good, we must hear no good, so that you can ultimately set aside all the policy interventions intended to improve lives, conditions, and dignity of the poor in this country. Honorable Deputy Speaker, as the ANC, we are alive to the fact that social provisioning, while a critical intervention, but in any consumption economy, it is inadequate. To grow and transform our economy, we are required to be interested on the value chains of everything we consume and be deliberate on producing on our own the things that we consume. Hence, it is deliberate that Section 217 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa provides for the following, amongst others. 1, when an organ of state in the national provincial or local sphere of government, or any other institution identified in national legislation contracts for goods or services, it must do so in accordance with a system which is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. Number 2, subsection 1 does not prevent the organs of state or institutions referred to in that subsection from implementing a procurement policy providing for the following: A, categories of preference in the allocation of contracts, and B, the production or advancement of persons or categories of persons disadvantaged by unfair discrimination. To this end, any organ of state is instructed by the Constitution to procure goods and services in a system that is fair, a system that is equitable, a system that is transparent, a system that is competitive, as well as a system that is cost-effective. Furthermore, departments are instructed to set clear preferential framework in advancing those previously unfairly discriminated. Ordinarily, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the point system embedded within the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act will in itself eliminate those suppliers who submit exorbitant prices. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we must never be intimidated into abandoning the empowerment of small and medium enterprises, as small businesses are linked to faster income growth than big companies. Small businesses recirculate a greater share into the local economy than large corporations. Small businesses do not have a negative impact on other local businesses than big corporations may have. In 2018, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, released a research showing that, on average, the OECD countries' small and medium-sized enterprises account for about 70% of the total employment and generate between 50 and 60% of value added to the economy. The bottom line is that empowering small and medium-sized enterprises is important. At the same time, it must be made clear that inflating prices is an illegal act which must be referred to law enforcement agencies to investigate. The motion presented in this House, however, makes sweeping statement of illegality based on a grossly inadequate methodology and comparative research design. Market comparative analysis requires much more scientific basis than what we were unfortunately presented in this motion. As we save livelihoods, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we must unapologetically grow and transform our economy by deliberately including small, medium, and micro enterprises. Honorable Deputy Speaker, instead of abandoning empowerment as suggested by DA, we must intensify our fight against the pandemic in ways that take into account wealth and income inequalities. Interventions directed at assisting those who are the most affected and the areas they live in should be prioritized. Development policy going forward should rigorously tackle inequalities. Creation and protection of work opportunities in our province must be prioritized. We must incentivize the retention of jobs located within the Eastern Cape in key priority sectors, which in turn promote sustainable job creation across the province. The DFIs, in turn, should place a premium on high-impact employment-creating investment and support for cooperatives through favorable terms. The DFIs should actively support procurement in strategic investment facilitating public infrastructure development projects. Equally of importance to function in the COVID-19 or post-COVID-19 society, connectivity, coverage and accessibility is critical in ensuring that the rural poor is not left out. We must provide seed funding to enterprises which are not able to access funding from commercial banks and other developmental funding institutions, and provide co-funding support for enterprises to ease debt burdens whilst increasing business viability and financial sustainability. Funding for primary production infrastructure, production inputs and capacity building for producers must be strengthened. Therefore, recovery and consolidation of new economic drivers has to be anchored in order to dismantle the monopolies. Remember, honorable members, our strategic enemy in our march for the attainment of the national democratic revolution as the ANC is the monopoly capital. I repeat, monopoly capital. Our non-racial character is also anchored in our non-racial characterization of our strategic enemy. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the ANC objects to this motion as its essence is a desperate attempt to divert ANC government from providing comprehensive social security and wants to cast aspersions on the very same interventions intended for the poor. I thank you, honorable members.
And I now invite Honorable MEC to conclude the debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker. Let me greet you, honorable members, again this afternoon. We, Honorable Deputy Speaker, in noting the motion as raised by Honorable Van Vuren, I wish to first reflect on the underpinning policy guidance on what we have on social relief of distress. Social relief of distress is part of the government institutionalized, inclusive, responsive, comprehensive social protection system. This social protection system was consciously established by this current government to principally alleviate the high rate of poverty and hunger. It is also important, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to that the concept of social protection in our country includes community development and social welfare services. These are your no-fee schools, healthcare services, human settlement, free basic services, and subsidized public transport. The social relief of distress in particular is a temporary provision of assistance intended for persons in such dire material needs that they are unable to meet their or their family's most basic needs. In the main, the provision of SRD has been in the form of food parcels to households. I must state that government, in the tough social and economic conditions of COVID-19, social development in the province, and through its agency, SASSA, initially invested a total of 50 million rand, which was 45 million allocated to SASSA and 5 million allocated to the Department of Social Development. These important funds have benefited more than 33,000 poor households in the province. The impact of the distribution of the food parcel as a means of social relief was indeed a success for government amid the crisis. Government has also taken more social relief measures, including the increase in some social grants and the establishment of the COVID-19 Social Relief of Distress Grant of 315. While these strides are positive, Honorable Deputy Speaker, as a Department of Social Development, working collaboratively with State South Africa, we estimated the need for social relief being very high compared to what we can afford. In this regard, given our estimated population of 6.7 million and 1.8 million households in the province, about 468,838 of households, which is 26%, experience food insecurity. These households run out of money to buy food. These numbers have or do not include the effects of COVID-19 and subsequent lockdown, which resulted in a sudden loss of income for additional people. Given this reality, as a department, we applied for more funding from Treasury, and additional funding of 78 million rand has been approved. This is set to benefit more than 100,000 households. The department is undertaking discussions with commercial banks to utilize bank-generated coupons that will be beneficial to households to purchase food of their own choice by themselves. Madam Deputy Speaker, in particular responding to the logic informing the motion, I wish to state that the utilization of public funds necessitates government to follow open tender processes. No retailer or distributor is excluded from participating in the government competitive bidding, including retailers or distributors. However, whoever is a supplier of goods and services is a service provider. The notion of a middleman does not exist in government open tender systems, as this term insinuates that they do not render any services and provide the goods. In this case, food parcels, the government needed specific quantifiable items to be packaged and delivered directly to the consumer. The final cost of a food parcel is inclusive of all of the total price of items, packaging, transportation, storage costs, security, insurance, and markup. Furthermore, the government deliberately utilizes public procurement to promote and support local economic development, which fundamentally seeks to empower SMEs and transform our economy. Deputy Speaker, I must also point out that our civil society organizations and businesses have also made significant contributions towards ensuring food security during those times. With regards to the procurement of service providers in reference to SASSA, government is always open to any investigation. As a matter of accuracy, Honorable Deputy Speaker, amongst other misinformation that we have heard from members here today, the cost of each food parcel was standardized at 1,200 rand. Concerning the reported delivery of spoiled food in Amatole, the service provider had procured maize meal from Butterworth Super Farm. Super Farm is the reputable food supplier in Butterworth. Upon collection and the opening of the item by beneficiary, it was observed that out of the 150 families who collected, there were others in their maize meal where there were windmills inside the bag. In future, SASSA is also planning to issue food vouchers instead of providing food parcels for social relief of distress. We are of the view that an electronic voucher will ensure more flexibility, protect and restore the dignity of the social relief of distress beneficiary. Moreover, it is more cost-effective than the food parcel method. A detailed account, Honorable Deputy Speaker, is of the number and the cost of food parcels and service providers is available for the House if it so agrees, and the whole process is available for the House for scrutiny and submission of the processes undertaken, because it is a fallacy, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that there were councillors that delivered or said to have been selling food parcels. All the cases that have been investigated, including the ones that was mentioned by Honorable Mashati, it was found there were no councillors found to be benefiting or that were leading the process of the allocation of the food parcels, but rather there are people that are perpetuating that misinformation for their own political gains. Honorable Deputy Speaker. Yabulen.
Let me see. Honorable members, I will now put the draft resolution. I put the draft resolution to the members of the House. Agreed?
No.
Objection?
No.
Agreed.
Come closer to your mics. Any objection?
No.
No, no. No, no.
Okay, honourable members, I think that the noes have it. And if that is the situation now on this draft resolution, that means that it's not adopted. It has been debated, it has been considered, but it's not adopted in terms of issues. May I now call upon political parties
Yes, we don't
an opportunity to say few words to welcome the Secretary of the Legislature, as Honourable Speaker indicated when she was opening this House. I will afford each party 3 minutes at least to express a word of gratitude and appreciation. I will start with the Freedom Front Plus. 3 minutes. Honourable Kutsi.
Geagte Deputy Speaker, baie dankie vir die geleentheid. Goeiemôre aan almal. Protokol waargeneem. Dit is werklik 'n voorreg om vir ons 'n nuwe sekretaresse of 'n sekretaris vir die wetgewer te verwelkom in ons midde. Die bietjie wat ek van haar weet, is sy nie 'n onbekende in die gemeenskap van die wetgewer nie. En is ek verseker oortuig daarvan dat sy sal voortsit met die goeie werk waarmee haar voorganger afgesluit het. En dat ons as wetgewerlede verseker vir haar wil verseker van ons ondersteuning. Maar in ruil daarvan wil ons graag ook diens hê. Ons wil graag erkenning hê vir dit wat ons met haar bespreek en ons probleme wat ons mag ondervind. En ons sien uit daarna om met haar saam te werk tot voordeel en uitbou van die wetgewer. Baie dankie, agbare Deputy Speaker.
I will now call upon ATM. 3 minutes, Honourable Member. ATM 3 minutes. If ATM is not in the house, I am now proceeding. Okay, United Democratic Movement, 3 minutes.
Good evening. May I proceed, Deputy Speaker?
Yes, proceed, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, we as the UDM would like to start off by conveying our heartiest congratulations to the gentle lady. We believe that she truly deserved to rise to that level, having observed her in the few months, or rather a year, that we've been in office and being honored to be serviced by her. Whenever we ask her for any type of service, she would always very humbly, very consciously, but very decidedly render the service on the spot, always responding to any query, whether it falls directly in her high office or on those below her, but she has always been there whenever we raised any query looking for assistance. That position is actually the life, it is the heartbeat of the institution. The legislative arm of government is indeed the second last hope of the citizens of the Eastern Cape after the executive's performance, whether good or bad. We are there to oversight their functions. And with a solid secretary, we are better able, as the legislative arm of government, to deliberate and to deliver the goods. We expect solid administration from her that will serve the citizens of the Eastern Cape through the legislature that we are. We wish her all the best in the position, and as a UDM, we assure her that we will always be on her side whenever she is doing what is good. And whenever she seems to err, we will be there to say, sisi, ngathi uyaphazama apa, khawulungise ezi zigwegwe, khawulule ezi zigwegwe, khawuqoshele eli batsha, khawuphakamise intloko ngoku, khawuthobe intloko, uze ngehliziyo kule, uze ngengqondo kule, uziphakamise zombini iingalo, sisezandleni zakho, wuntshu ntombazana. Enkosi.
Then I will now call upon economic freedom fighters. 3 minutes, honorable members. Honorable Tejana indicated to me that because of load shedding, he's experiencing problems. I don't know whether he mandated any other member for which EFF is now to address. Please, honorable member. There is no commander-in-chief available. All right, if EFF is declining the offer, then I will invite Democratic Alliance, Honorable Bobby Stevenson.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, some of the members of the House are now discriminating against me on the grounds of age. But I can assure you, in congratulating the new secretary, I know it's historic that it's a woman, but I was privileged to be on the selection panel, and I can assure everyone here that this was an appointment made on merit. The new secretary comes with a depth of experience, and knowledge of the workings of this institution. And the fact that she was the former CFO also adds a lot of strength to the job that she will do here. Because as we all know, having a good understanding of finances and financial management is critical for an institution to get clean audits. I can say that in all the dealings that I've had with her, she has always been responsive and come back to me. And just this week, I had an experience where the Honorable Celeste Barker, you all know, resigned due to problems that she had. She was battling to get her IRP5. I was trying for a month. Eventually, I wrote to the secretary, and within a day, we received it. So that's the kind of efficiency and service that we appreciate, because what we need in this institution for it to be responsive to the needs of members. The people who work here are here to assist and empower members to do their job and to sort out issues that we have. And I'm quite confident that under the leadership of the new secretary, that this will happen and that she has the ability, temperament, and character to work with all parties in this House. So I join with the other members in congratulating her and wishing her well. Thank you very much.
I will now invite the African Congress to also express a word of
iphi le nto uthetha masibulele sekela somlomo, sibulise kwindlu ngokubanzi. Singumbutho woluntu i-African National Congress, siphakamela uzokwamkela mama uNgcakani ukuba uzoba lapha. Sikuluvuyo ke kuthi kuba noko ngumama wokuqala ukuba khona kule ndawo, kuba kudala inotata. And nje maluqalile utshintsho olujongene nesini, ingakumbi kule nto inokulingana kule nto ine-appointment yakho. Sifuna ke nolunye utshintsho oluzojongiselela ingakumbi ekusebenzeleni uluntu lalapha eMpuma Kapa, kwilizwe lonke, nelizwe jikelele. Kukwazeke kokokuba noko kucace uba kufike isikhukukazi kule ndawo. Qukeze amalungu akwazi ukufumana okwawo akufaneleyo, andizuthetha ngako ngoku, ze kubasebenzi balapha nabo bakwazi ukujongeleka okwabo abakufanelekileyo, ze lingehli izinga eli belikulo, malinyukele ngoku. Siqinisekise uba nokuphathwa kweencwadi zalapha ziphathwe ngendlela eyiyo, zinyukele. Sifuna ukuba kwizinga eliphezulu ke, Sekela Somlomo, nathi siyaziqhenya ngokuba noko siyiMpuma Kapa, noko siyesibini indlu yowiso-mthetho emva KwaZulu Natal. Uqinisekisa into yoba nathi sinomama okhoyo. Siqinisekile uba noko ke asizuthi ke sizithathele amandla kuloo ndawo. Siqinisekise into yoba intsebenziswano nayo yonke imibutho elapha, noluntu lwalapha kule legislature, noluntu lwephondo lulonke, ngoba sisebenzisana namasebe ngamasebe. Siyabulela, enkosi.
Thank you very much. Honorable member. Honestly, Secretary, it is not about time, but basically respecting the constitution. And that's the measurement I also personally, on behalf of this leadership sitting here, we expect from you. Leadership is self-made, self-inculcated, and self-retained. Faithfulness, sincerity, as well as exemplary leadership. May God richly shoulder you as you are going to navigate this position going forward. Kunako ukuthi uThixo akugcina kulondoloza akubonise nesingakaziboni ukwenzela into yokokuba iphondo leMpuma Koloni lingalambathi. On that note, honorable members, that concludes the discussion on this matter and the business of the day. The House will adjourn until tomorrow, the 3rd of September 2020 at 2:15 through the Teams virtual platform, and the House is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank
It's still the same like.
Ibi mask yako, Deputy Speaker. Fake mask
And
yako.
then, Comrade Ridwan, you are sitting so patiently there.